A US Navy base in Bahrain appears to have come under attack. This vision on your screen showing smoke rising from the Jubair area of Bahrain. This is where the US Navy's 5th Fleet is headquartered.
On the morning of February 28, 2026, the world woke up to shocking news. Israel and the United States carried out major military strikes against Iran. This was not just a small clash. This was one of the biggest escalations in years between these powerful nations. The strikes, named Operation Lion's Roar by the Israeli government, involved air attacks and missiles hitting multiple parts of Iran, including major cities such as Tehran. People in Iran saw and heard explosions rising over their capital. Smoke filled the sky. Many were terrified. Families rushed into shelters. Children clung to their parents in fear. Even before the sun was fully up, entire neighborhoods were shaken. This moment wasn't just about governments or armies. It was about real people whose lives were suddenly thrown into chaos. Iran's leaders had been negotiating with the United States earlier in the year, trying to find a peaceful way forward, especially over Iran's nuclear program. But those talks didn't succeed, and tensions had been rising for months. Still, no one expected such a day, a sudden storm of bombs and missiles that changed everything in a few terrifying hours. Across the world, people watched in disbelief, not fully knowing what would happen next. Many news channels showed dramatic images of the explosions in Iran and sirens blaring in Israel. The message from the leaders in Washington and Jerusalem was clear. They said this was necessary to protect their countries from what they described as an immediate threat. But for ordinary people on the streets of Tehran, Jerusalem, and beyond, life suddenly felt frighteningly uncertain. This moment marked the beginning of a new chapter, not just in the long, complex history of Middle Eastern conflicts, but in the lives of millions of people whose homes and futures now felt at risk. It was a day that was meant to change the balance of power, but it also changed everyday life for so many innocent lives. Just hours after the attacks on Iran, the Iranian government responded with a powerful and dramatic retaliation that shook the entire Middle East. In the afternoon, Iran launched ballistic missiles towards several countries that host U.S. military forces, including the United Arab Emirates, UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Saudi Arabia. In the UAE, which normally feels safe and peaceful, air defenses worked nonstop to stop these incoming missiles. Emirati soldiers fired interceptors into the sky, creating loud roaring sounds as they exploded enemy missiles high above the ground. Thick clouds of smoke were seen rising over Abu Dhabi, the nation's capital, turning a normal Saturday into something surreal and frightening. Even though the UAE's defensive systems succeeded in stopping most of the missiles, some of the debris fell into parts of the city. Tragically, at least one person was killed by falling debris, a reminder that even when people try to protect themselves, war still finds a way to hurt civilians. In nearby Qatar, officials said their defenses stopped missiles before they reached population centers. In Kuwait and Jordan, authorities reported downing incoming missiles, and explosions were heard as air defense systems worked around the clock. In Bahrain, where the United States Navy's 5th Fleet is based, smoke was seen rising near the naval headquarters, though initial reports said there were no immediate U.S. casualties. This sudden wave of missile fire wasn't just a military action. It was emotional and terrifying for people across the Gulf region. Families in once quiet cities were forced to rush to shelters, watch sirens light up the sky, and hear loud booms that felt too close to home. For many, it was a day they will never forge.
साइड पे हो जाओ साइड पे भागो Oh my God.
In the United Arab Emirates, what should have been a peaceful weekend turned into something people had only seen on television or in movies. As missile warning sirens echoed throughout Abu Dhabi and other cities, many residents scrambled to find safety. Parents held their children tightly. Strangers helped each other reach secure places, underground parking garages, basement halls, or specially reinforced rooms. Many people shared videos showing huge flashes in the sky and loud, thunderous noises that shook windows and rattled doors. Rumors and fear spread quickly, and the UAE government urged everyone to stay calm and rely only on official updates. Despite all this fear, news reports from Dubai and Abu Dhabi also showed something powerful: courage. People kept going about their lives where they could. Grocery stores stayed open for a time. Medical workers continued caring for the injured, and emergency services worked nonstop. The UAE's defense forces worked hard, intercepting dozens of missiles. They didn't just protect military sites, they were saving civilian lives. Still, for families who lost loved ones or saw their city under threat, the emotional shock was deep. They were reminded that even in places long considered calm and secure, war can suddenly arrive. This was a day of mixed emotions: fear, sadness, and loss, but also bravery, unity, and hope. People still reached out to their neighbors, checked on friends, and shared messages of support online, hoping the danger would soon pass and peace could somehow return. To understand why all this happened, we need to look at the bigger picture. For years, tensions have been rising between Iran on one side and the United States and Israel on the other. At the heart of it were disagreements over Iran's nuclear program, its missile development, and long-standing regional rivalries. In official statements, leaders in the U.S. and Israel insisted their strikes were aimed at preventing future threats, especially concerns over possible nuclear weapons development. Former U.S. President Donald Trump described the attacks as necessary to defend American people and security interests. Israeli officials similarly argued they were acting against dangers they believed could never be ignored. From Iran's point of view, the strikes were a violation of sovereignty and an act of unjust aggression. After the attacks, Iranian leaders vowed strong retaliation, declaring that all U.S. and Israeli assets in the Middle East were legitimate targets. Around the world, leaders responded with concern. Russia publicly condemned the U.S.-Israel strikes, describing them as unprovoked and demanding a return to diplomacy. Many countries called for calm and urged all sides to step back from the edge of a wider war. Every side believed they were acting for safety and justice, but for millions of ordinary people caught in the middle, it was heartbreak and fear, not politics, that filled their days. Families wondered if their homes were safe. Young people asked how long this would go on. Parents prayed that this nightmare would end without more bloodshed. By evening on February 28, 2026, it was clear that the world had shifted. Flights across the Middle East were suspended as airspace closures stretched from Iran to Israel and beyond. This wasn't just a regional crisis, it disrupted global travel and trade, reminding everyone how connected we all are. In affected countries, people posted emotional messages on social media. Some shared snapshots of cities in chaos. Others shared videos of missile defenses lighting up the night sky. Many simply posted heartfelt pleas. Please let this end. Parents worried about their children's futures. Students imagined school days that might never return to normal. Workers faced uncertainty about whether it was safe to leave their homes or travel again. These weren't just news stories. These were real lives filled with anxiety, hope, fear, and resilience. For many around the world watching from afar, the events of that day sparked deep reflection. People asked, "Why does this keep happening? Can peace ever be real?" Some prayed. Others took a moment to reach out to friends and family living in affected countries. Everyone was reminded of one truth, that behind every headline are countless human hearts beating, hoping for safety and peace. As the sun set on that unforgettable Saturday, the world was left waiting to see what would come next and whether the echoes of that day's fear and courage would shape the future for years to come. And just like that, in one single morning, the world changed forever. Millions of people went to bed on Friday night not knowing that by Saturday, their skies would be filled with smoke, their cities shaking, and their futures uncertain. This wasn't a movie. This wasn't a drill. This was real life for real people, just like you and me. But here's the thing. This story is far from over. The decisions being made right now in secret rooms by powerful people will shape what happens next, and it affects every single one of us. So, if you want to stay ahead of what's really going on in the world, make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell, and drop a comment below. What do you think happens next? Because trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming. Asterisk.